We do a little bit of, so we have private money to buy. We use private money to buy any of our projects, and then when we do the refinance, if it's commercial, we go to a commercial local bank that we use here locally, Five Star Bank, and then if it's a single family, 1 to 4 doors, we use Lending One in Florida, and they do all our single family loans.
So you said you're refinancing. So you're keeping
Yeah,
some of
some of
these
them. So the
properties.
bigger multifamilies that we keep, we use our commercial bank, Five Star Bank, and then the single families that we keep, we use Lending One, and then um, for the other properties that we buy with private money that we're flipping, we just turn them and flip them.
Yeah. And we kind of like to have a spread, a balance of passive income and active income going, just because your passive income cash flow can get eaten up real quickly with, things that come up, and, an AC unit goes down, and that's, eats up your cash flow for a couple months, up to a year or whatever. So it's kind of like having the balance where the long real estate, I think the real money's made in the long term hold, buy and hold, with appreciation, and then possibly funneling it up into like larger units. So we kind of like to build that avenue out, but also maintain an area of active cash flow as well.
When did you make the leap from single family to multifamily?
We just started to realize, the I remember the first duplex I bought, and the same amount of time and effort that I put in to acquire that duplex was the same amount of time that I put in for a single family. And so I realized, okay, well, is that going to be the same for a fourplex? And lo and behold, like boom, it was the same thing, and then an eightplex, and the same effort that I put in to buy a 12plex is the same amount of time and effort that I put in to buy one door in a single family. So once we started realizing that, then we transitioned into buying bigger multifamily, but also buying single family still, and also flipping houses.
When did the when did the TV show come along?
The TV show came along probably, gosh, when we were a few years into the business of real estate. We had a good set of contractors working with us, and we came across this like ad, and or maybe it was online. We used to watch HGTV, just like, oh, we do this. This is what we do. And so I sent in like a little family Christmas card and said, oh, we flip houses in Northern California. We've got kids. We love to travel. This is kind of a little bit about us. And it was like maybe 6 months later, randomly got a phone call from them, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to interview you guys and just kind of, get to know more about you and what you do, and see if you qualify, if you're even eligible. And it just kind of progressed from there, and it kept going further and further to where we were like sitting in Hollywood, um, at the
Yeah,
Oval Office table, and
yeah.
all the producers were there, and they were showing us some previous, you know, companies or businesses or people they had worked with in the past. And it just progressed from there. And they're finally like, "Hey, we want to do a pilot with you guys. Let's see how it goes." And so we just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, I think I read an article when prepare for the episode. Uh, Doing the math here, weren't you about due,
Youngest,
or
yes. There
was
was,
there a kid on the
yeah,
way
of
when you
course.
started
It
the
was
show?
like my debut to TV, and here I am, pregnant. And I think at first they weren't sure if they were going to show me, but I was so far along that I was like, by the end of the season, it was like I was clearly ready to pop. So, um, yeah, it was great. And I think, I don't know. I think when you're in a line with like where your trajectory of where you're headed in your life, things just like they just work out, right? I mean, things just fall into place, because I remember thinking like if we did the pilot ended, I had a baby, and then I said I was nursing, I wanted to be home, and I'm like I don't want to have a TV show like next month, that's not something I would have wanted. And I was like, as long as this baby's 6 months old, then I think would be good. And I think on the day, 6 months later, they called and said, we'd love to do a season with you guys. And so we were ecstatic and kind of nervous, but we just rolled with it. And it was fun and a ton of work. It was like having your full-time jobs, raising a family, and then on top of that having another full-time job because things were slowed down with production. You couldn't, a contractor, luckily we had great relationships with the contractors, but they were not happy about having to like redo scenes 5 times to get it right. And I wouldn't have changed anything, but it was a lot of work.
For sure.
I gotta hand it to you. One, I need to put more effort into the Christmas cards. Two, I'm just amazed. My wife was pregnant with our twins when we were working on our first property project and running a
Oh
chocolate
wow.
company at
Yeah,
the same time. So um, I was exhausted. I just can't imagine being
Yeah.
pregnant at the same time. So
Yeah.
hands off too.
I think sometimes life's like riding a roller coaster where you just have to roll with it, right? Like there's moments where it's smooth and then you're like flipping upside down. But if you kind of detach yourself from like the situation, it's like you just know it's temporary. You know you're going to get through it. It's either a learning experience or something that tells you, okay, maybe we're heading in the wrong direction. Let's pivot here. I think sometimes you just have to kind of detach yourself from those moments and not internalize them as who
right.
you are and what you do. And if you failed at something, you're a failure.
Yeah, don't dwell on the negatives, and like Chenoa said, detach and dwell on the positives.